Welcome to the Shootin' Show. Stand by for shots fired.
Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show, and welcome again to this week's edition of our program. We're so happy to be with you this week. We've got a great show for you. We have a couple of interesting gun tests. We have some exciting guests. And please, folks, if you order something or buy something or find out information from one of our sponsors or someone that's featured on our program, please let them know that you saw it on the Shootin' Show, because it's so important to all of us that our program does well. Anyway, without further ado, let's open another Shootin' Show. Now, friends, the gun that we opened the program with a few minutes ago was a gun that I think is one of the more useful small handguns that I've ever run across. This is a new Smith & Wesson 651, and it's in 22 Magnum chamber. Now, a lot of you know how I feel about the 22 Magnum. I think it is a vastly underrated cartridge. It is much more effective than I think a lot of people realize it is. Of course, it works like any other Smith & Wesson swing-out revolver. You push the latch on the side and swing the cylinder out. It holds 6 of the 22 Magnum cartridges. And as you can see, this is our Smith & Wesson 22 long rifle, model 617 we've been shooting. And in comparison, the 651 is quite a bit smaller. The 617 is on a K-frame or 38/357 frame, and the 651 in 22 Magnum is on a 32 frame, what they call the kit gun frame. And I tell you what, friends, the workmanship that Smith & Wesson is sending out on these new guns is really something to behold. We have had awfully good luck and service out of our newer Smith & Wesson products. This gun, of course, has a red ramp front sight, a very fine adjustable rear sight, and we're going to be shooting it in a few minutes out at 25 yards. We're also going to chronograph the 22 Magnum and let you see just, in fact, what it does. Now, a point I want to make, I would imagine that some of you are sitting at home today saying, well, Johnny looks comfortable today. Well, that's because I am. And if you see some spots on my shirt, like I spilled something on me, well, friends, let me tell you what, that's not anything spilled on me. It's sweat, not perspiration, it's sweat, because it is hotter than a firecracker down here today. And that leads me into something I want to mention. You know, friends, when you're out shooting and you go down to the range, you're probably going to be out there a couple of hours anyway, wear something that is comfortable. Now, today I'm in an old pair of cool blue jeans that certainly are comfortable to wear. I'm in a t-shirt that, again, is comfortable. And one other thing I'll show you, I have on my suspenders, and there's a reason for that. One, when you're carrying a large handgun such as a 629 and a good bit of spare ammunition, you know, you don't want your pants to fall down. Now, it's so simple. Go down to your local discount store or hardware store and get yourself a pair of tool belt suspenders. And you can attach them to your pants or even to your gun belt. And what it does, you don't have to cinch your belt up so tight that you're going to be uncomfortable walking around. It really takes a burden off of you. It puts the weight, or it spreads it out across your shoulders as well as your waist. You still have good blood flow and supply to your legs. Like I said, that old belt being cinched up so tight is not real comfortable for a long period of time. Also, wear clothing that you're comfortable in bending or stooping. We need to bend down and pick up that brass that we take out of our guns. You need to be comfortable so you can move around and enjoy yourself. Don't come out to the range with something that's going to hinder you or bind you all up. Come out in something that you're comfortable with, something we can walk around and shoot and enjoy ourselves with. Another feature that I think I should mention, for we have a lot of the ladies who are coming out to shoot with us now. A lot of women are buying handguns. They're wanting to go out and learn to shoot them. Well, ladies, small suggestion, but a t-shirt is probably your best deal as far as a shooting shirt or something with a closed neck like this. You know, when you're shooting a semi-automatic handgun, well, sometimes that empty brass will come back maybe at you, and you darn sure don't want and one of those hot shell cases to go down the front of your blouse or your dress. It can be real uncomfortable, and you know, when you're handling guns, you sure don't want to be jumping around trying to find out where that hot brass went. So you know, simple things like this can really make our day on the shooting range, one, safer and much more pleasant. And another thing I do want to mention, if you're going to wear a handgun holstered on a belt, get yourself a larger or wider leather belt, something that will help hold the weight and certainly help distribute it around your waist. So now then, all that said, let's get back to the matters at hand. You know, friends, this 651 is a much more versatile gun than a lot of us would think. You might say, well, if I want a small caliber gun or a rimfire gun, I believe I'll just go with a 22 long rifle. Well, that's a good point, but your 22 Magnum offers so much more power. It's not that terribly expensive to shoot. We've got a box of 22 Magnum hollow points. These are Winchester down at Britain's gun shop, and they're $5.55 a piece. That's for 50. So it's still cheaper than shooting your average centerfire revolver caliber. But let me tell you what, these things are potent. They are powerful. Certainly on small game, as I've said before on the program, I've had better luck with a 22 Magnum out of a handgun than I have, say, with a 38 Special, and in fact some of the 9mm. The 22 Magnum again has capabilities sort of out of proportion, and I'm saying that with hollow point ammunition. I'm certainly recommending hollow point ammunition to be used for any sort of hunting or defensive use, but it performs sort of out of proportion to the size of the cartridge. So let's shoot the gun, and in fact, let's get our group out here at 25 yards, and let's see what this 4-inch barrel 651 and 22 Magnum will do. Now then, friends, a few moments ago we shot a couple of groups to adjust our sights on our Smith & Wesson 651. So now, I tell you what, I'm impressed with how it shoots offhand. We just got this little gun in just a few days ago, and tell you the truth, I really hadn't had a chance to really ring it out, so to speak. But we put 5 shells in the cylinder and closed it. So watch as I shoot the gun. Of course, you just don't have hardly any recoil. Now, you do have some muzzle blast because the 22 Magnum does operate at some high pressures. So, as always, I have in my hearing protection. We always wear safety glasses, without exception. When we come down to the range and we're shooting guns, we always use safety glasses and hearing protection. So, we're going to offhand shoot 5 rounds at our paper target out there at 25 yards. And I think you're going to be surprised on just how well the little gun shoots. So, we'll get in position here and take our time. Find that front sight in the rear notch, put our finger on the trigger, and alright. And of course, for accuracy shooting of this type, I prefer to shoot the gun single action. I will cock the hammer with my thumb for each shot because you have just a slight trigger movement to set the gun off. Here we go. And again. Alright. 3 more times. And 5. Here we go. All right. And of course, we're going to unload our gun and set it down. All right, friends, let's go out and check our target out at 25 yards and see what it looks like. All right, friends, I tell you what, it looks like a pretty good group. Let me circle it so you can see where it went. All right, we have 5 shots in the group, so we're going to take our measuring caliper and we'll measure from the center of the 2 furthest holes apart. So let's see what it amounted to here. let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And our two furthest holes here from the center of the two furthest holes. In fact, it's a little bit less than 2.5 inches. About 2 7/16 inches. So friends, I tell you what, for 25 yards for offhand shooting with Winchester hollow point ammunition, I tell you what, the little gun, and of course from a machine rest, of course this is me shooting offhand as you saw, from a machine rest the little gun might go into 1 inch or less, so that's very fine accuracy from our 651. Now then friends, for your information as well as my own, I'm curious too about how fast a couple of brands of 22 Magnum bullets go through the chronograph. Let's see what they do in feet per second. We've loaded 2 of the CCI 22 Magnum cartridges in the cylinder, followed by 2 of the Winchester. So let's see what these 2 cartridges do as far as performance capability through our chronograph. So we're going to shoot the CCI first. So let's see what it does. My goodness, 1,320 feet per second. All right, friends, we know what the first one did. Let's shoot another one of the CCIs and see how fast the second bullet goes to get a real basic check on consistency. Let's take a look at it. Well, that's really not bad at all. Of course, just for 2 shots, that one went 1345. Okay, which, you know, 1,345 feet per second from a 4-inch barrel, tell you what, friends, that's awfully good performance. Now, I suspect that the Winchester will not go quite that fast. We find that in rifles, the Winchester and CCI ammunition are very comparable in performance. But in handguns, it's interesting. The CCIs typically are hotter. Of course, let's find out for real. We'll talk more about that in just a second. So now then, let's shoot a couple of the Winchester shells. Well, it's not too far off. It went 1295. Friends, I tell you what, that 1,295 feet per second surprised me. I was thinking it would be more like 1,200, but let's run one more of the Winchesters through the chronograph and see what the second one does. My goodness, 1287. So we have a lot of consistency here. You know, friends, another advantage that the 22 Magnum revolver has, say over a 22 Magnum semi-automatic such as the Automag 2, which is in its own right is a very fine little gun. The revolvers are not ammunition sensitive. They're not sensitive as to what manufacturer or bullet profile you're shooting. And of course you can shoot snake shot in these, which to my knowledge the 22 semi-automatics will not function with snake shot. At least I'm not aware of it if they will. And another thing, you have a centerfire, essentially a centerfire revolver modified for rimfire ammunition, so you have a good strong hammer fall, and it's very unlikely that you're going to get a misfire. If there's any life in that rimfire cartridge at all, it's probably going to shoot. Just a point that I thought was important to make. Friends, I tell you what, we are so impressed with our Smith & Wesson 651. This may be the ultimate trail gun because it's so small and light and portable. You can put it in a pack or certainly carry it in a holster and you'll hardly even know it's there. Also, this gun displays outstanding accuracy. You know, you can use it easily with snake shot, and of course 22 Magnum snake shot up close will definitely work on the snake, but also for small game hunting, the 22 Magnum, even in this small gun, generates some outstanding velocities, and of course along with outstanding accuracy. For someone for home defense, if you can't handle maybe a 38 special or 9mm, you definitely should take a look at the 22 Magnum because in effectiveness it's much more powerful, I think, than a lot of people realize. And we want to stress with hollow point ammunition, because you wouldn't want to shoot the 22 Magnum with solids inside a house. My gosh, they'll go through several boards, 2 or 3 walls. You don't want to hurt someone or destroy something in another part of your home. If you had to shoot it, inside your home, I certainly would recommend hollow points, of course, and hollow points are going to give you much more effectiveness on whatever your bullet does hit. So the Smith & Wesson 651, I'll tell you what, friends, this may be one we have to keep.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after this break for your local cable company or television station.
When anti-hunters plant poison dog food in your favorite hunting spot,
You'll say, where's the NRA?
When they spike your access roads, you'll say, where's the NRA?
and when they ban your hunting guns, you'll say, where was the NRA?
Join the NRA now to protect your hunting heritage and defeat the anti-hunting agenda.
When they close the seasons in your hunting lands,
You'll say, where's the NRA?
help protect the hunter's heritage of wildlife conservation. Join the NRA.
Call now and get a year of great magazines, a no-fee Visa card, a Hunter Orange NRA cap, special insurance benefits, plus access to world-class hunter safety and skills training.
You see, when hunting is gone forever, your son won't ask, where was the NRA? He'll ask, where were you?
Where were you?
Where were you?
Where were you?
So come on, join the NRA now.
Now, friends, I think we have a really interesting segment coming up for you. This is Ronnie Barrett with the world-famous Barrett 50 caliber semi-automatic rifle, and he's going to give us a demonstration on just how the gun works.
I want to tell you about the Barrett Model 82A1 semi-automatic 50 caliber rifle. Its weight is about 30 pounds. Has a 29-inch barrel in it, 1 and 15-inch twist. We have a high efficiency muzzle brake that reduces felt recoil by 65%. It's a recoil operated gun in so much that the barrel recoils and gets the action going rather than a gas system. So it's much cleaner, non-fouling type of action. Comes equipped with a carrying handle, self-leveling bipod legs that collapse or swings forward or rearward. Has emergency backup iron sights. We recommend a 10 or 12 power telescope. And has a detachable 10-round box magazine. The gun is relatively simple to field strip. Collapses down to a length of a little more than 40 inches so that it goes into a hard carrying case, airtight, watertight carrying case. Bolt lug is a three-lug triangular shape. Everything comes apart with no punches or pins or anything like that. It's a relatively simple gun to field strip. It's made so that a big man can get his hands in it without little fine toothbrushes or things like that. And then in storing, the bolt carrier is attached back to the rear so that it can go in the carrying case. Felt recoil of the Model 82A1 is very light. It's very comparable to, say, a 12-gauge shotgun with buckshot loads or something like that, although it has a different type of feel in so much that it doesn't slap or have that kicking sensation. It has a long shove or push similar to a black powder rifle. We'll fire off a few rounds just to give you an idea of the felt recoil of it. As you can see, the recoil of the gun is relatively light. The only way to fully experience it, of course, is to fire one for yourself. You know, on a lot of rifles, you'll have the muzzle blast come and hit the shooter back into the face. That's all right, as long as the gun's showing. You'll have the muzzle blast hitting the shooter's face so much that it's unpleasant. This rifle ports the gas off to left and right, so it's well away from the shooter's face or any spotter that may be nearby. This is something we've only had out for a couple of years. This is what we call our soft mount. The soft mount will plug into any U.S. standard pintle socket, whether it be mounted on the tripod or anything else you can get a pintle socket in. It's all stainless steel and it has no springs or anything that may rust. It has a shock absorbing type effect. It's rather stiff and it's hard to manually move it, but it takes the recoil, the jarring recoil off of whatever the pintle is mounted into. Has a lot of elevation and depression. And for those that may still be a little concerned about the recoil, it removes it all. This is our new backpack. It holds one rifle complete. As you can see in here, the rifle is strapped into different compartments. And it can be carried by hand or put on the back. Got carrying handle straps here on the side, or on the top, rather. Backside enables it to go over the shooter's shoulder, or over the carrier's shoulder, and then carry it just like a regular field pack. It's got a kidney belt to it to keep it balanced well, and it has good carrying balance position on it. This is our hard shell plastic carrying case. It holds the rifle and up to 4 magazines. This is our new Model 90. The Model 90 is made of several of the components that are in the semi-automatic, and it's got the same philosophy that our semi-automatic is built around. In other words, the disassembly and the field stripping is all without tools. It's a very simple, small little gun. It's only 45 inches long, 22 pounds in weight. It uses the same barrel that's in our semi-automatic with the same 29-inch 1 15 right-hand twist. You can also see that the muzzle brake is the same that's off of our semi-automatic. You can easily tell by looking at it that it belongs to the same family of weapons. The sheet metal receiver is very similar in configuration and everything. It's much, like I said, a much smaller gun. Super simple, the field strip. Bolt lug uses the same extractor, the same triangular 3-lock lug system on it. Since it's a bolt action, of course, it's going to have some more recoil than the semi-automatic, but it's still not an uncomfortable gun to shoot. about 5-round detachable box magazine. Not doing this to show you that these are proper shooting positions for the 50. The standing up fire that we've done, the one-handed hold and the rapid fire, things like that. These guns are made for long-range accuracy, but we were doing this merely to show you that the recoil of our products aren't what they may appear to be. They're nice, fine shooting guns made by people here in Tennessee that enjoy building a quality product.
Now, friends, the good news is that these guns are available for sale to the decent citizen without a criminal record, and they're very, very fine firearms. In fact, a number of them are used in the U.S. military for special operations, and I can't think of a more unique, and I bet you, of course, I haven't shot one, but I look forward to it. I'm sure it's a lot of fun. For information on Barrett firearms, you can write to them at Barrett Firearms, Post Office Box 1077 in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. That zip code is 37133, or give them a call at area 615-896-2938.
Get ready to order the most exciting videotape ever offered on television. It's the best of guns, guns, guns. 60 minutes of action, excitement, and the most amazing display of firearms available on video. Pistols, rifles, shotguns, and machine guns. See Bob Munden, the fastest gun who ever lived. USPSA pistol competition, the Steel Challenge, U.S. Marine Corps weapons, machine guns from around the world, and lots of surprises. If you like guns, you'll love the best of guns, guns, guns. Available only through this special TV offer. Fast draw competition, hand cannon, Soldier of Fortune firepower, how to shoot fast, and lots more like you've never seen it before in this 60-minute action-packed video. Use your credit card to order toll-free now. Call 1-800-942-8273. You'll receive the best of guns, guns, guns for just $29.95 plus $4 shipping. By ordering now, you'll receive this 28-page gun video catalog absolutely free. So call with your credit card right now, 1-800-942-8273, or send check or money order to 7888 Ostro Street, Suite A, San Diego, California, 92111.
Friends, for the absolute best in monthly shooting magazines, turn to Shooting Times magazine. They have all sorts of excellent features on handguns, rifles, shotguns, and black powder by some of your favorite gun writers, such as Dick Metcalf and Rick Jameson and Bill Jordan, just to name a few. Each month you'll find interesting articles on guns, shooting, reloading, and new products in the firearms industry. That, along with information on pending legislation of interest to all gun owners. For subscription information, call 1-800-727-4353. Shooting Times, the best there is. Now, friends, stay where you are. We'll be right back after this break for your local TV station or cable company.
That's a Teddy's Shreveport Dodge. For a buy of a lifetime, come by Shreveport Dodge. You get $500 on the diesel, excluding the Cub Cab, $1,500 on the regular size pickup, $500 on the Dakota, $500 on the Caravan, $1,000 on the Ram 250 customized vans, and we have 35 in stock. $1,000 cash directly to you. Put it in your pocket and put it towards the down payment. Come by Shreveport Dodge. It's an end-of-the-year sale. We have them going, so come by. Thank you very much.
Now, friends, I tell you what, a lot of you have seen the old farm truck on our program from time to time, and to tell you the truth, it was just about on its last legs. So a couple of weeks ago, I went by to see the good folks at Shreveport Dodge, and friends, let me tell you, they put me in a truck. In fact, it's probably too nice for me. I'm probably not cultured enough to be driving that truck because it's so nice, it runs so good, and I'm enjoying it so much. That area code is 318 for Shreveport, 318-797-1233. And if you live anywhere in the Arklatex area, heck, if you live as far away as Dallas, it would probably save you money to come over to Shreveport Dodge. They're extremely nice people. They have a tremendous product selection, and they're just a great pleasure to do business with. Come by and see John Vaughn or any of the other fine salespeople at Shreveport Dodge.
Hi, I'm Bill McIntyre with the National Rifle Association Institute for Legislative Action here in Washington, D.C. I'm sitting in the National Firearms Museum right here in our headquarters, and the display behind me is our Olympic gold medalist display. We've had quite a few over the years. Some interesting news on the legislative front from Capitol Hill. Senator Chafee from Rhode Island has introduced a bill that requires the turn-in of all handguns at a cost to the government of nearly $2 billion. I think this just goes to prove their ultimate goal, which is to disarm the American law-abiding public. Interestingly, Senator Chafee introduced a similar bill last year, and even our opponents at Handgun Control Incorporated said that it was not a bill that they could support. I think, though, it's important to note that even if this bill passed, no one would expect that criminals would turn in their handguns. It would only be a requirement for law-abiding citizens to do so. Senator Chafee has simply ignored the fact that more than 600,000 times a year, law-abiding citizens use handguns to protect themselves against criminal attack. So we think Senator Chafee is completely misguided in his efforts and would do the American public a little more good if his bills were aimed at criminal justice reform, expansion of our clogged court system, and putting repeat habitual violent offenders in prison for the duration of their sentence and knocking off the easy parole and easy probation that runs so rampant and terrorizes our streets. Also on the legislative front, an update with the Brady bill. Introduced in the House is H.R. 1025 and in the Senate is SB 414. The Brady bill is closer than ever to something that the NRA has supported since 1988. Just to recap, the Brady bill is a 5-day waiting period with a voluntary criminal background check prior to the purchase of a handgun. However, the bill written today would require that after 30 months it would switch over to the instant check system, which is like a credit card checking system that has a mandatory criminal background check. The NRA has supported an instant check since 1988. We're very close to getting what we want, but we right now oppose the bills as they're written. There are 3 major flaws with it. Number 1, there is no meaningful appeal process if you're denied in your purchase for a handgun. It could be that a checking agency would categorically refuse to give firearms and permission to buy firearms to a category of citizens or an individual or a community at large. And if they don't, then you have got to take it upon yourself to hire a lawyer and go to court and try and prove that you were wrongfully denied. And if you're successful, you have no opportunity to sue that checking agency that wrongfully denied you. That wrongful denial has to be stripped out. We have to make the checking agencies accountable for the checks that they make. Additionally, there is no time certain that the Brady bill waiting period would switch over to an instant check. They say it's 30 months, but there's no mechanism to make sure it happens. We need to make sure that that time certain is locked in stone and will switch over. And thirdly, it is very important that if this is going to work, we have uniform laws across the states, and in this case we agree. We would like to see preemption written into the Brady bill so that states like California and their 15-day waiting period would eventually be reduced to an instant check so that Californians would have the same fair opportunity to what could be a self-defense handgun as those in other states across the country. Let me give you a quick update on some of our internal activities. The NRA has recently purchased a new facility. We have a new building still within the D.C. metro area in Fairfax, Virginia. It's right inside the Beltway, still tremendously easy access to Capitol Hill and all the places we need to be on your behalf. The building has 300 square feet of space, drastically expanding our current space. We're really busting at the seams here inside Washington, D.C. The best news of all, of course, we were able to purchase the building for less than 50 cents on the dollar. That's a great savings and a great opportunity for us to expand our resources, expand our personnel, so that we can deliver the services that you've asked for and we've been able to give you so far. Interestingly as well, the new facility will have a multi-purpose indoor range as well as an auditorium and conference center that can hold up to 200 people. Anyway, if you're interested in more information about the National Rifle Association, give us a call toll-free at 1-800-972-4NRA. Until next week, I'm Bill McIntyre.
And now, friends, we're pleased to present our good friend Art Alphin from the great A-Square Company. And A-Square, as I've said many times before, builds some of the finest big game rifles and ammunition that's available anywhere in the world today. For information on the A-Square products, you can write to them at A-Square, 1 Industrial Park, Bedford, Kentucky. That zip code is 40006, or give them a call at area 502-255-7456. So here's Art.
When a cartridge weapon is discharged, a number of forces are generated and a great deal of energy is released. The idea of using these forces or the energy in order to cycle the weapon surfaced in the 1880s. Though many people worked on putting this idea to use, such as McLean, Lewis, and Hotchkiss, I would like to concentrate on two major contributors whose designs made a mark on the course of warfare. These are Hiram Maxim and John Browning. Maxim harnessed the recoil forces generated upon discharge in order to cycle the weapon. By the 1880s, he had some practical designs. Though they worked reasonably well, his automatic weapons became what we understand to be a machine gun only after the introduction of smokeless powder and jacketed bullets. You have seen these developments in a previous tape. By 1893, Maxim was selling perfectly functional machine guns. Among their first recorded uses was action in the Matabele War of that same year. The painting Brave Men depicts the death of Alan Wilson's Shangani Patrol. The patrol was an advance element of Forbes's mobile column. After the Nabili had annihilated Wilson, their 7,000-man army advanced on Forbes, who credited his salvation to the Maxim machine gun. Maxim worked at refining his designs, and by 1908, the Maxim machine gun had been adopted by Germany and was made under license there. The same weapon was adopted and manufactured in England, where it was known as the Vickers. John Moses Browning had been working on another method of cycling an automatic weapon using the very same gases which propelled the projectile. His first workable designs were made by Colt Marlin and used in the Spanish-American War. When the bullet passed a hole or gas port located underneath the barrel, gas escaped and pressed on a lever. The lever rode all the way back and then was pushed forward by a spring, thereby completely cycling the weapon. For obvious reasons, this gun was nicknamed the Potato Digger. As war clouds loomed, Browning quickly branched aside and designed a machine gun using Maxim's short recoil idea, since short recoil was a good bit more compatible with water cooling. Without getting into French or Austrian variations, you can safely assume that every major combatant in World War I entered the war with a machine gun. The capabilities of all of them were quite similar. I will use this Browning 1917 water-cooled as a good example. Most of these weapons fed from a belt. As the belt was pulled through the machine gun by these feed pawls, individual rounds were pulled back out of the belt and then positioned on the bolt so that they would be next in line for chambering and firing. The Browning and the Maxim worked on the short recoil principle. In this method, the barrel, bolt, and barrel extension remain locked together after discharge and travel a short distance to the rear. After the bullet exits the barrel, the bolt then unlocks, sliding independently to the rear. The bolt comes back far enough so that the old cartridge case is extracted and ejected and a new cartridge is placed in position. The bolt then travels forward, chambering the cartridge, and fires again as long as the trigger is held down. The Maxim, Browning, and many others were water-cooled. The barrel was surrounded by a water jacket holding approximately 5 quarts of water. After 600 rounds of continuous fire, the water would be brought to a boil and steam would exit through a steam bleed-over valve down through this hose into a condenser bucket. The second assistant gunner kept refilling the jacket as water would boil away at the rate of 1 quart for every 250 rounds. Though the water did boil away, it was recovered in the condenser bucket. It also stabilized the operating temperature of the weapon and allowed continuous, sustained fire. All of these weapons were extremely accurate and fired their rounds into a very small group, which, in machine gun terminology, is called the beaten zone. As an assist, they were equipped with a micrometer traversing and elevating mechanism so as to enhance their long-range accuracy. They also were chambered for the full-powered rifle cartridges of the nations involved, such as the 30-06 or 8mm Mauser. Let's see what this Browning can do. In its first target run, you'll see a silhouette target on top of a 4x4 fence post and 2 real sly buggers hiding behind a cinder block wall. That's pretty impressive. The Browning fired such a small group that it had no problem cutting down the 4x4 post in short order. Both the wall and the 2 guys hiding behind it took a severe drubbing. This latter target illustrates a point. A wall, unless it is solid masonry, is no real protection against small arms fire from full-powered rifle cartridges. Next, we'll engage a group of targets in the open using the traversing and elevating mechanism and a final assault of targets on line. See if you can spot some advantages and disadvantages of the water-cooled.
Friends, we'll come back to more on the water-cooled machine gun after this break for your local cable company or television station. Now, friends, you know, as firearms enthusiasts, most of us are always looking for bargains, and I can't think of a better place to find bargains or firearms prices than in Shotgun News. They have 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands of firearms listed. For information on Shotgun News, you can write to them at Post Office Box 669 in Hastings, Nebraska. That zip code is 68902. Their phone number there is 402-463-4589. For MasterCard or Visa subscriptions only, call them at 1-800-345-6923.
The advantages of the water-cooled machine gun are quite obvious. It is extremely accurate, can fire at very long ranges, and has a very high sustained volume of fire. In fact, the water-cooled machine gun is unique among machine guns in that its sustained volume of fire is just about the same as its cyclic rate. The Maxim and the Browning both had usable volumes of fire on the order of 500 rounds per minute, and both had combat ranges well in excess of 2,000 yards. The water-cooled machine gun truly was the next best thing to being there. This tremendous capability is not free. For starters, the weapons are expensive to manufacture. You can see all of the very small yet very finely machined parts in this Maxim. Though the Browning was a good bit simpler, both weapons required major industrial investment. The crews for the weapons had to be large and highly trained. Highly trained because of the requirement for maintenance before and during firing, such as headspace, and spring tension adjustments. The crew had to be large because there were many other jobs to be done. Also, the water-cooled machine gun weighed well over 100 pounds, not counting water and ammunition. When broken down, it took at least 3 men to carry it. It also took a long period of time, 3 minutes or so, in order to get the weapon properly placed in position. You should have noted that we had 11 sandbags stacked on the Browning when we fired it. The extra weight of the sandbags helped damp out the vibrations of recoil and was a requirement if one was to take advantage of both the accuracy and the high sustained volume of fire. This does not tell the full story. Someone had to load the cloth belts with ammunition. This required a separate machine, such as this Browning cloth belt loader. The cloth belts had to be saved by one of the crew members. They were washed, dried, and then protected from mildew. They could not be loaded too far in advance, or the cloth would stretch and the cartridges would fall out. The advantage to the cloth belt is that it is much easier on the machine gun and does contribute to the overall reliability. The small beaten zone of the water-cooled machine gun translates to an extremely long adjust sight range. It was the job of the gunner to adjust sights for range and to compensate for wind drift. However, the gunner could normally not properly spot the fall of his rounds. Another individual with binoculars spotted the fall of the rounds. The vertical portions of the reticle on the binoculars that you use today are leftovers from that era. They are based on a logarithmic scale and were used for adjusting the fall of long-range machine gun fire on the ground. For the really long ranges, something over 1,500 or 1,600 yards, plus for indirect machine gun fire, that is, placing bullets down into a trench or into dead space behind a hill, even more equipment was required. Every crew carried a clinometer, which was used for adjusting the elevation of the machine gun in mills as specified in the firing tables. The effect of the water-cooled machine gun is common knowledge. The trench warfare of World War I can be attributed to the water-cooled machine gun along with the bolt-action magazine rifle and the new breed of artillery. Between these three, no man's land really was a place where no man could survive. As the British learned when they marched forward up the Somme, long-range machine gun fire was a force to be reckoned with and could inflict a horrendous number of casualties in a very short period of time. We need not go further into World War I, for you'll study that in much greater detail. When you do, remember what you have just seen about the water-cooled machine gun. How would you like to charge across no man's land through the barbed wire in the face of a water-cooled machine gun?
Now, friends, I'm holding a most unique and what I would think would be an interesting handgun to a lot of us who watch the program, certainly to me. This is the Tech 9, and they're based down in Miami, Florida, Intratec, the 9mm Luger Tech 9, DC-9. And I tell you what, friends, this is one of those guns that when I first saw it, I didn't really know what to think about it. It looks a little, certainly, paramilitary, I suppose, from the way it looks. And I understand that the basic design on these guns is based on, don't hold me to this, I think a Swedish submachine gun or machine pistol. Tell you the truth, I don't know for sure. But whatever it's based on, let me tell you what, the design works. It has some kind of synthetic plastic lower receiver here. Of course, here's your ejection port on the side. And we know, of course, the gun's empty. And this is your bolt over on the left side. You can see, and it also functions as the safety. You can press the bolt in and nothing will happen. The gun will not fire. The bolt will not move. And, of course, to fire the gun, you just simply pull it out. It does not have a bolt hold open feature. And this is the point I want to make about the gun. It's very simply made. It's one of the most simple guns of its type that I have run across yet. And you know, there's a reason. People say, well, why would anyone want a gun like this? One, some of us find them attractive. It does have a military look about it. But also there's another reason. You know, there's a reason that the military uses firearms that look sort of like this Tech 9 here, such as the AR-15 series, the MP5. They all have a similar look. They're built to have a lot of stampings. They have plastic parts on the guns. There's a reason for it. It's less expensive to make. It's more efficient to make than some other sorts of gun combinations. And this, of course, is a 9mm. It is a simple blowback action, and it has a huge bolt. And I suppose that's why it has such a large bolt face here, because it is a blowback action, and it relies on spring pressure in the receiver here to take up the shock from the 9mm cartridge firing. Of course, the 9 is a very high pressure, certainly pistol cartridge, and you need a massive part there, I suppose, to take up the pressures generated by the 9mm firing. This is an entertaining looking gun, but what has surprised me, it has.
Now, friends, you know time goes by awfully quickly when you're having fun, and we're definitely having fun with this Tech 9, but we'll have to come back to it next week. I do want to remind you that there are people in Washington who do want to take away our semi-automatic guns, for that matter, all the guns that we have. So if you're planning on buying a semi-automatic gun of this type or anything else, even a 22 semi-automatic rifle, you really should plan on doing so in the next few months. And you can bet we're going to be informing you of legislation that is pending on this type of gun, as well as most other firearms that we currently enjoy. So anyway, we'll come back to our Tech 9 next week. We do want to thank our good friends at Britton's Gun Shop in Shreveport for assisting us with guns and ammunition for our program. And if you're in the Arklatex area for all your shooting needs, please come to Britton's at 517 Louisiana Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana. That zip is 71101. Their phone number is area 318-221-4131. They also have a new location at 2706 Hollywood in Shreveport. Friends, we hope you've enjoyed this program as much as we have enjoyed bringing it to you. Remember, if you're not currently a member of the NRA, you need to join today for all our sakes as gun owners. See you next week on The Shootin' Show.